Hi, my name is Taylor Buster, and for the mini teaching lesson, I did Sandia by Carmen Lomas Garza, and it was painted in 1986, and I used all fourth grade standards. So to start off this lesson, I would introduce the painting by putting it on the smartboard, just so the whole class can see, and I would explain the title that Sandia means watermelon in Spanish, and I will give them a little bit of background information about the author. So Carmen grew up in Kingsville, Texas, and she is from a Mexican American family. And she grew up around the time of the Chicano movement, which is a movement that empowers the Mexican American people. And basically, a lot of her art was inspired from this movement. And basically her art is about family, her community, and just her just showing appreciation for her heritage. And she also faced racism and discrimination during that time, so that also will kind of tie into the history part of this lesson. And so as far as the art aspect, I'll definitely ask them aesthetic questions such as what they see, how they feel, and what they like or dislike about the art. And so as far as an assessment, I will, for the social studies aspect, the standard I use is basically being able to label physical and man-made features. So I will have the students label where Carmen grew up and where the Gulf of Mexico is. And I will also explain to them that there was a lot of immigration of Mexican people during that time. So I'll also have them label where, what parts of Mexico those people came from. And so another assessment I will have them do is also label where the Chicano movement, what cities the Chicano movement took place in. And so a lot of the Chicano movement takes place on the West Coast. And so a lot of those cities are Oakland, Los Angeles, Arizona, Denver. And then there's a couple cities that are scattered throughout Texas that this movement happened in. And I'll also, before they take the assessment, maybe like the day before, I'll have them get into groups and kind of come up with reasons why the maybe reasons why Carmen wrote this painting or thought this would be a good painting. And so moving on to the language arts and the aesthetics part of this, I'll introduce the painting and I'll ask 3 aesthetics questions: what they see, how does the picture make them feel, and what's one thing they would change about the painting if they were the artist. And so the standard I use is explaining the difference between poems and drama. And so I will, to incorporate the painting, I will again reiterate that Carmen painted about her life and her family. And so I'll have the students write a poem about, well, after we discuss the elements of a poem, I'll have them write a poem about their family and their personalities. And I will also explain that the house in this painting reminds me of a sitcom, kind of like Full House, where it's immediate and extended family under one roof. So I'll explain what a sitcom is and kind of show them the house that the characters in Full House grew up in, just for so they'll understand what I'm talking about. And so I'll have them get into groups of 3 or 4, and then they'll choose out of a bucket of sticks, and based on what they choose, that's the type of drama they are going to perform. Okay, and then so moving on to the math aspect of this. And so for the math aspect, I will first, to incorporate art again, I will have them analyze, and I will ask them if they see any geometric shapes in the painting, where they can be found. And also, again, I will ask them what they will change or what they would change if they were the artist. And so I will have, and then the standard for math I use is having them be able to pick out parallel, perpendicular lines, angles, and right triangles. So first I would start off by explaining what a perpendicular line is, drawing parallel lines on the board, and then drawing perpendicular lines and explaining the difference. And then I'll also explain the different types of angles, acute, obtuse, and right, and kind of draw the angles in certain shapes so they understand how to find them. And so for this next part, I will have them analyze the painting and look for perpendicular lines, angles, and right triangles in the picture. And then I will give them about 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes to do this, because I know it's a little bit more difficult since the painting has a lot going on. And so after that, I will call on students to come up to the board and circle the parallel lines first, and then once we find all those lines, I'll have them circle all the angles they see, and then there may or may not be any right triangles, but I'm pretty sure we can find at least one or two to circle. And then as far as assessments, I will have them identify parallel and perpendicular lines, and maybe I'll have perpendicular lines drawn. I'll say, is this parallel or perpendicular? And then I'll ask them, and then I'll say why, and they'll explain to me why it's parallel or why it's perpendicular. And then another assessment I can have them do, this incorporates more of an art aspect, is I'll have them draw a picture, and then I'll tell them that the picture has to have obtuse, acute, and a right triangle. So they can draw anything they want as long as it includes those aspects. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the science and the art aspect of this. And so the standard I used for art is painting based on selected themes and personal experience. And then the science aspect I used is basically using scientific inquiry to understand the scientific thinking process. So first things first is I will, for the science part, I will have to explain what a scientific inquiry is, just so students understand. And I will explain to them that scientific inquiry is basically how scientists make predictions based on what they see in the world. And then to incorporate that back into the painting, I will say that Carmen, she draws based on what she has experienced through her life. And so to incorporate the science, well, really what I want them to get out of this is to understand what scientific inquiry is and how it's used, and then creating artwork based on personal experience and themes. So for the science part, I will have them look at the painting and make predictions about what's going on, who's who, maybe what time of day it is, based on just what they see in the painting and what they see going on. And then for the art aspect, I will have students paint based on a personal experience they've had, either positive or negative, that will impact their lives, or that have impacted their lives. So maybe I can say a birth in the family, a death, maybe moving, winning a sports competition. They're all examples of important life events. And then I will already have a picture drawn of me when I was younger winning a cheerleading competition. So that'll kind of give me a means to connect with my students. And so for the students that may struggle with a life event, I'll definitely be there to help them and kind of give them ideas and ask them about if they play a sport, or even if a new sibling has been born, if they ever had a death in the family. So I'll definitely use those techniques to jog their memory. And basically, what I want them to learn from this is basically how to use your life experiences and make drawings based on them, or make connections with those life experiences. And so that's all my lessons, and I just like to thank you for watching, and have a good evening.